solution of technology with it, and then it has its own business parameters to understand, the success parameters to understand how far it has gone, and what was the limitation of this particular uh, pedagogy. Another definition which came into picture lately was design thinking is a methodology to solve a creative problem. And this was Stanford, how it defined design thinking. This right now Stanford is one of the greatest school which is delivering sessions on design thinking, and which is taking this into pedagogy for a larger scale to industry and giving degrees on this program. So how they define it like design thinking is a problem solving approach, which just a sec.
In the meantime, I'll request everyone. Okay, okay. So yeah, start.
So sorry. So when you live in a hostel setup, you have to manage several things on your own. So yeah, so this is how Stanford came into picture, and this is how it solved by defining design thinking to people who are outside from industry. And that brings me to the different stages of design thinking. What are the different platforms on which we can use it is another question. But we can start with what are the different process that it has, what are different stages that it has, and how we can use each stage to define and to use this as a method to solve any problem. So basically, this is none other than this is a different sort of setup which gives us flexibility to solve any problem on a larger scale, parallelly keeping people and product at the center of it. So there is a misconception about this definition that this always keeps people at the center of it, but it I little bit disagree with this. So design thinking, yes, it has its human centric approach, yes, it has its own people centric methodology, but it always keep product also as something which people can focus on. So we'll start with the first stage, which is empathy. Empathy is something which gives us the ability, it gives us the understanding of the problem, it gives us the understanding of person on the other side of the table. So we generally in our daily language, we generally talk on the sense like, okay, we have to empathize with the people, we have to empathize with someone whom we are close with. But what we tend to not follow in terms of a larger scale is when we are trying to solve this problem, we have to empathize with the problem, and we have to empathize with the people who are associated with that problem. So in industry language, we call these people as stakeholders. And this stage basically talks about how we can empathize with different stakeholders who are involved in solving that problem, or who are right now witnessing that particular problem. So if we go a little bit deeper into what empathy is, and if we go a little bit a more deep dived approach on what empathy is, I'll say that it should be something which talks about gaining a deeper insight into customers, much like what we say when we do persona mapping, or what we say when we analyze people. We always say that we are empathizing with them. So this empathy will directly relate with the people who are stakeholders, and it can be shown in any form. It can be shown in the problem solving or in the later stages of this design thinking. But the idea here is to understand and to parallelly relate with the people for whom you are solving this problem. So there are few setups in which we can use empathy, and the first one is ability, what is going through in someone else's mind. So ability to understand, uh, if we are able enough to understand what is going on the other side of people. If I'm able to understand what's going on in the mind of Yogesh, for example, right now. So if I'm able to understand what Yogesh is thinking, then I can say that okay, I can empathize with Yogesh in terms of his requirement, in terms of his needs. But if I can't say, if I can't relate with what he's thinking or what exactly is his needs, then I won't be able to empathize with him. I won't be able to connect with him on that larger scale. So imagine the experience that the person is going to have. So generally, how I believe that sessions like design thinking, which is very experimental, has to be done on with face-to-face experience. I mean, this is not something which can be delivered digitally, because there are a lot of there are a lot of exercises which are involved in this. There are a lot of practicals which are involved in this. So imagine the experience that people are having. So right now we are using this Zoom app. uh, I was talking to Raj before all of us joined, and he told me that what are the different problems that people face through Zoom, and there are some technical glitches happening. There are voice glitches and all those things happening. So if you want to solve the problem of this digital uh, platform creation, you have to solve it by analyzing all these points that people and by analyzing all these experiences that people are having right now. So if you're not able to understand, if you're not able to be in the shoes of people who are going to use your product, then I think at the end of the day, it's not going to be worth enough. So we know that most of people create product, but at the end of the day, they say that okay, this is not something that market wants. What is market in that sense? Who is market? You, me, all of us. We are the market for it. So if we don't have the product, if we don't need the product, and if we don't know that how that particular product is going to help us, then the need can't be generated in the market, and that is where the entire experience part comes into picture. And the third point is desire to act. So see, I mean, we all know that at some point of time we all want to be a problem solver, if not in our say professional space, but sometimes in personal spaces also. So if our family is going through any problem, we try to solve this and that. If our friends are going through any problem, we try to solve that. So that intent of solving a problem needs to be there. We can't solve any problem if we don't have that particular intent. So one of the very famous quote for any of the innovation that happens is that innovation only happens when there is a pain. No innovation can happen in luxury. I'm not talking about in terms of the innovation that's are happening in labs, Tesla labs and all. I'm talking about the innovations which are directly impacting day-to-day life of millions of people. If there was need, if there is a need of a different sort of electric bulb which can reduce the consumption of electricity across different states of country, then there should be someone, there should be an organization which can think that okay, let me take the responsibility of solving this problem. Let me, wanting to give the comfort when someone is in pain is something what we call empathize. So if I'm empathizing with someone, I can definitely talk about the pain, I can definitely talk about the experience that particular person is going. And by empathizing with people, we can always have the people we can always let them talk about their problems, we can always understand their pain points and what they want. So from this particular stage, we'll get to know what are different points that are triggering the person for whom we are solving the problem. So for the sake of our convenience and for this entire session, I will take one example, one case that we will take throughout this particular session. So we'll start with solving a problem. So I want any one of you to volunteer, or maybe Raj, if you can volunteer, to help me with one problem statement,
Mhm.
which will affect massively uh, in upcoming days because of COVID-19.
Okay, so I think due to COVID-19, the problem that most of the people would be facing would be the transportation. I think transportation would be the most difficult thing. People are a bit scared to move out, visit the grocery stores, and get their essential things back to home. So I think this would be one problem statement. I think that just came out of my mind.
Yeah, perfect. So we'll take this example that people are will be facing the problems of transportation, and we'll understand. So for whom we need this transportation? We need it for people who are living in cities. We need it for people who are living in different part of countries, in villages, and we ha- while we are trying to solve the problem of transportation, we also try to understand why we need transportation. So what is exact the latent need, and what is the need that is driving people to move from one location to another? One need might be the unavailability of the daily needs, houseable items. One thing might be uh, the understanding of why they are moving from village to a city, why migration is happening. Might be for employment opportunities. So while we try to understand and solve this problem, the first thing that we should do is we should create a sample space of, let's say, 100 people or 50 people or 10 people, each in different cities, in different location, in villages, and we need to try and analyze and record the data that they have. So now I'll be going little technical on this. We need to understand what's their emotion. We need to understand what their pain point is. We need to understand what their latent need is, and we need to record that data in our data sets. And that data sets will help us to understand and record as a set of collective data, which we will use in the next phase of design thinking. So once we empathize with people, once we know what exactly are the right questions to ask, we'll be getting the data. So what are the right questions to ask, and what are the different ways through which we can do? Here are some tools. So these are six. There are somewhere around 18 tools for empathizing with people. These are major six tools which I generally recommend people using it. And in the possibility of time, we can talk about one or two of these. And rest, I mean, rest you can always go. And so we'll start with stakeholder analysis. Stakeholder analysis is nothing but when we interact with people, when we interact with who are the major stakeholders, who are the people who will be impacting with this. So this stakeholder analysis always gives us the clear idea that for whom we are solving this problem. So in case of transportation, it will give us a clear idea that once this problem is solved, who will be the people who will get benefited out of it most? Who will be the people who will use these transports? And when I say stakeholder analysis, who will be the people who can help them provide these transports? So one stakeholder might be government, one might be the NGOs, one might be the different heavy vehicle organizations in terms of their CSR, and if they can provide vehicles. So there might be several stakeholders, but at the end we need to understand that whom we are impacting with this. So that is a stakeholder analysis for us. That brings us to pain point analysis. So when I say pain point analysis, this is nothing but the identification of problem. This is nothing but what is that one point that is affecting us most. So let's say in case of this transportation, what is that one main reason why people want to move from one location to another? So as I mentioned, it might be something that they need to buy household things which are not available in their locality, which is not. So that might be one problem. So it need not to be that we need to provide only transportation solution to them. We can also solve that problem by providing household items to their locality. That can solve the problem altogether by not even touching the transportation problem that we have in hand. So this, by doing this, it become very important for us to understand what pain point analysis is and how we can go understanding each and every problem that we have in hand. The third one is empathy mapping. We'll talk about it in next slide in a deeper way. And same goes with six thinking hats. I'll directly jump to fifth one, which is journey mapping. And journey mapping is nothing but understanding the entire end-to-end journey of the people who for whom we are trying to solve this problem. When I say end-to-end journey, it starts with understanding their need, understanding how that those needs were getting fulfilled before this COVID lockdown happened, understanding their what were the different ways through which these needs were fulfilled, even when the time was very well settled and when things were very well moving stage. So that helps when we mark all those points. It gives us the journey map of person who is right now into this particular field, and that gives us the gap that we have right now. So for example, if someone was in a very happy state, if a locality was in a very happy state because they were having seven different grocery stores open 24 into 7 all throughout months, 365 days a year, so there was no need for transportation, there was no need for mobility because they were getting whatever the need was. And since this lockdown was announced, if entire things were shut and if they are not getting the household things, then this is the gap that we are having right now in hand. So this generally gaps help us to identify the problem. This gaps gives us the direct problem that we can solve in a short term and also in a long term. So all these are different methods through which we can empathize with our consumers and people for whom we are trying to solve the problems. And when we do, we have few which I have taken for this session where we can deep dive. So right now, this is empathy map. This empathy map talks about what people think, say, do, and feel. So this empathy map generally you can use it whenever you are in conversation with people on anything. It not needed to be on solving any problem. It could be anything from starting from politics to cricket, from economy to industry, from history to geography, anything you can take, and you can use this empathy map to understand what the person on the opposite side of table is willing to say. To start with, we'll start with thinking the problem. So ideally, it should go the clockwise. So it should start what people are saying, then what they are thinking, then what they are feeling, and then what they are doing. So it should go clockwise, starting from say, to think, to feel, and to do. So we'll start with what say gives us. So whenever we try to understand what people are saying, what the other user says about the product, the services. Ideally, this section contains real quotes from user uh, recorded during interviews or usability testing sessions. So let's to simplify it. Uh, if I want to understand that what a person has to say about this COVID-19, I'll directly record what exact statements are. So one statement might be, I'm getting bored when I'm stuck in my house. So this one statement will record as it is without changing even a single word from it. So if a person is getting bored because he or she is in house, that is one thing we'll record as what person says. And then we'll come to the second portion of it, which is think. So what user, we try to understand that what user is thinking about when interacting with the product, interacting with the service, or interacting with you while answering those questions, and what occupies the user's thought, what matters the users most. So while we analyze the first answer of user that uh, we are getting bored, what tends to happen that we feel that what user is thinking while he or she is answering this. We try to think on those lines, and this gives us the proportion to come on the third chap say third stage of this, which is feel. And this section contains most information about the emotional stage of the user. This contains most things about what worries the user most, what does user excited about, how does user is feeling about the experience. This worries entirely about what are the different things the user is experiencing on a larger scale. So this fields basically gives us the scope of developing or enhancing the already existence of the product or service that we have in hand. So right now, if we consider the example that we are taking for the sake of this conversation, that if there is a problem of transportation, the feel is that whether users or people are frustrated that the transportation is not available, or whether they are relaxed that since the transportation is not available, the movement is restricted, and that will restrict uh, uh, the transmission of COVID, transmission of virus, and that can help on a larger scale. So So this entire field session gives us to what actions user do, and this takes us to do. So what actions does user take, and what actions and behavior did you notice? So generally when we record all this, we try to understand that what was the behavior of the user, what the person was doing when he or she was answering. So while answering this question, whether he or she was very um, anxiety stage, or whether he or she was relaxed, how, what was the state of mind of that particular person, and how he or she was behaving. So while we have answers of all these questions, while we have answers, and we for mapping of all these questions, we tend to have a very clear concrete data to analyze, and we will use this data in the coming stage of uh, in the coming stage of this workshop. uh, Meanwhile, I'll take a pause here. So how's it going? If one of you can help me with that, if any one of you volunteer.
Yes, let me unmute a few of them. Wait, I'll unmute everyone now. So you can just ask. Everyone is unmute right now.
Okay, so I have on my screen. I have taken. I like this name, Bright Future. Okay, so how is it going, Bright Future? Okay.
You are
Yeah,
explaining it,
going.
you know, and you are explaining each and everything in very much detail. That's a very good thing.
Okay. So I have heard something good about me. Let me.
Benoit, Benoit.
How many?
Yeah, hi. Actually, I have also want to actually Raj knows me, so I have also from actually business design thinking, business design background actually from Velinka. So what you are
Okay.
saying actually, I'm getting I don't know if you know Mr. Kaustubh Dalgarkar. He was a professor from Wellington. So we have also a similar course called business design thinking,
Okay.
and we also have like I'm getting I'm the things are getting refreshed. So what you thought about journey mapping and empathizing, we have actually it's a very good actually. So I'm very happy to see this again, and it's really it's like a refresh for all that I've gone through, and plus there are additional things that also I'm seeing. So that's really good actually.
Thanks, Nick. I think it's Nishchay, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, Nishchay.
Yes,
Binoy.
sir.
Sorry.
Yeah,
He
this
was Benoit. He was Benoit. The person who just asked the question, his name is Benoit. He is
Okay,
also
Binoy.
Velinka, right? And now
Okay.
we have a Nishchay as well. Nishchay.
yeah. So actually, I have joined a bit late, so I missed the starting of the session. But yeah, what you are here explaining is empathy map, and I can understand it, like how it starts, how you can empathize to someone. So what you were explaining here was like understandable. So it was all good.
Perfect. Then before going forward, we'll hear the last one uh from, let's say, Geeta.
Hello, good evening,
Good
sir.
evening.
Just I am a fresher basically for this field, but whatever sir is just making us understand is too good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Great,
everyone.
great.
So we'll hear more of it at last, and we'll take all your questions. And Binoy will definitely connect on this at the end of the session. So let's
Sure.
forward, and because we have a lot of things to cover. The another thing is, on the same scale, is six thinking hats. So this six thinking hats is nothing but a different pedagogy. So you won't find most of design thinkers using this method, because this particular method is being used mostly in the meetings to understand and to give equal opportunity to each one of the people who are present in the meetings to play a different role. But I basically follow six thinking hats to go deep dive in understanding what different role each and every stakeholder can play. So this particular thing is based on the experience and the exercise that we do. So I won't spend much of time on this. I'll briefly describe that how it works, and then we'll go into the next slides. So this six thinking hats is something that gives us exposure of understanding what a different role a same person can play. So let me brief or deep dive more into this. So if I am someone who has a different understanding of a problem, then there might be different arguments that I have in favor or in against of those problems. So these are six different hats: white, red, black, yellow, green, and blue. And each and every hat will give us a different perspective of what role we play and what things we can achieve while we are playing this role. So I'll start with white hat very quickly. This will list all of the facts that we are talking about. So right now, let's suppose if we talk about the problem of transportation, this will list out of the facts, only facts, like how many people are there living in the locality, what is the number of vehicles available, what is the daily transportation time, mobility requirement. This will purely talk in number of facts and what is the information we need to understand the problem. So what are the different numbers that we can collect while we are wearing with white hat. So this white hat gives us the approach of collecting numbers, while red hat gives us the approach of what we feel. So what people are feeling, how much numbers of people are feeling angry, what is the percentage of people who are depressed, what is the percentage of people who are anxious, what is the percentage of people who are satisfied. So this, while we do the research, and if we are wearing this red hat, then we should collect the feelings of people, of numbers that we have collected from white hat. Then comes the black hat. Black hat is something which is most pessimistic one, but I like it most because this will gives us the idea of denying everything. So this hats give us the possibility of seeing beyond the solution. So this hats gives us that seeing the downsides and risk of any solution that we propose. And this gives us the opportunity to think more and analyze more any of the problem that we are solving. So this black hats gives us the listing of all those problems which we might have missed in the initial ideation stage. And that gives us the yellow stage, which is yellow hat. While we have the listing of all problems, now we can solve those problems by being optimistic. So from pessimistic, we have moved to the optimistic stage. And when we are into optimistic stage, we have this green hat, which can talk about the alternative solutions, which can talk about the alternative ways. Like one alternative ways we spoke initially, that we can have those household items get delivered in locality itself. So people won't need to move, people won't need transportation. So if people are feeling sick, if they need the basic medicine or basic uh, say support on medical terms, we can have those set small clinics, we can have those doctors visits arranged in the localities itself, and that can help us reduce the mobility on a larger extent. And lastly, blue hat is like on focus and progression. Like already we have achieved the solution, now how we can refine that solution and how we can um, reach on a better stage of this. So all the six thinking hat and empathy mapping, I'll request each one of you to go back, read more. So this is one subject which will help you. So once you read more on each and every topic, you will need the urgency to read more on that. So there is very famous quote that when I learn more, I learn that I need to learn more. So this the same is with case of design thinking also, and with all these methods also, that once you learn more on these, you need to understand that there is more things to learn on each one of them. So once empathy is done, once we understood the stakeholders, once we understood what are different facts we have, now we will define the problem. Now we will define the exact problem that we are going to solve. This will help us to understand the exact outcome that we are trying to achieve. This will help us to give the clear picture what we are trying to achieve by the end of this exercise. So when I say define the problem, I want to give you a perspective that what point of view is, how you can focus on insights that we have collected from empathy stage, and how different composite characters you can use it. So these point of view will help you to understand what and how you can use different insights, and what is the right challenge that you are going to solve, what is the right problem that you are going to hit, what is the right place where you are going to hit. So if transportation is not available, what is that one thing about this unavailability that you will solve, whether you will provide more number of vehicles for transportation, or whether you are going to solve it by providing alternative ways to solve this problem. So what is right exact challenge that you are solving? So one real time example is that in this stage of COVID-19, what is that one bigger challenge that we have in hand, whether it is to avoid the spread of this virus, or whether it is to increase the testing we can do. So defining the right challenge is very necessary when we are trying to solve any problem, and that we can do only with the help of insights, that we can only do when we have data, when we have different insights to rely on. So once we have all these three things in hand, we can definitely define a problem. So now I want if Raji can help me, if
I can hear you.
yeah, so if one of you can define a real problem of what we spoke about in last 15, 20, 25 minutes about this transportation, so we can take that problem going forward. So I'll request um I'll request Vanshika to define that problem for all of us.
Vanshika.
Hello.
Yeah, Vanshika.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. The guest, the host, Utkarsh Mishra has a question for you.
So,
Okay.
Vanshika, if you can just define um, one exact problem that we can solve in this session. I mean that we can't solve it, but we can definitely take it as an example for the session. So, if you can define one problem.
Okay.
Any problem, Vanshika?
Okay, so I think Vanshika needs a little bit more time to understand this. If any one of you can do it for me, maybe Binoy, if you can do it for me.
Yeah, based on what you have said, so probably we can define it. So basically, based on point of view, that is focusing on insight. So for particular user, if we take, for example, we can take, for example, a daily wage worker. So let's take that, and the challenge that they are facing is, for example, for traveling from point A to point B. So as per my understanding, what we will define is the problem faced by a daily wage worker from going from, for example, from the place where he currently is to the place where he wants to go. If you can correct me if I'm wrong, like.
No, okay, this is absolutely clear. So we'll take this problem. I'll request all of you to go on mute for sake of convenience of everyone. So we'll take this problem that the problem is the mobility of a daily wage worker from location A to location B. Okay, so now we have this problem, and now going forward, we'll try to understand and we'll try to find the solution of this problem. And that brings us to the third stage of design thinking, which is ideate. So ideation is nothing but creating the ideas to solve that particular problem in all possible ways. In all possible ways. I'm repeating this. So this could be a chance to combine the understanding that you have of a problem statement and imagine what are different ways through which you can solve this particular problem. So this could be as hypothetical as you can. This could be as uh, uh, elaborative as you can, or this could be as practical as you can. So this ideation talks about listing of all possible solutions for this problem. So right now, if you are talking about mobility of a daily wage worker from point A to point B, what all different solutions we can have? One solution we can have is providing, if allowing that allowing the personal vehicle of that particular wage worker. Second could be uh, arranging a public transport. Third could be giving the requirement at the doorstep of that particular wage worker. Fourth could be arranging arranging a local vendor to deliver the requirement at his or her doorstep. Fifth could be making him or her compelled to leave house only when it's very necessary. And the last could be that possibly I can think of, that government delivering it through different delivering partners. So all these possible solutions at this stage, we will list it down. So generally how it works when you will be solving any problem going forward, I request all of you to use post-its and write whatever problems solution you have in mind and stick it in front of you. So by the end of this stage, possibly you will have somewhere around 15-20 different problem solutions sticking on your wall, and those 15-20 different problem solutions will help us to understand what are different ways in which we can solve this problem. There might be a possibility that we have the final solution will be accumulation of 5-6 of these different solutions. So the final solution might have different pointers from all these solutions. But right now in this stage, what I want you to write whatever possible solution. Don't don't delete any solution just because you think it can't be done, just because you think it's not practical. Don't delete it, just write whatever you think in mind. So one possible solution is people can fly from one place to another. Just write it, be as wild, as free flow, as elaborative, as practical as possible. Just write it and stick it, and this will help you to understand what are different solutions we have and how we can do it. Try and answer these two questions. So first one is how might we will give you the understanding how might we can solve this problem. So if there is non-availability of transportation, how might we be able to help people in the case of non-availability of transportation. So whenever you think on how might be, you will figure it out what are different possible solutions. So I want all of you to write these 2 points. How might we and in what ways might we? So once we understood that how might we can solve the problems, then we will come to the to the stage where we'll think how and in what many ways we can might solve this problem. And this can be the guiding statement that focuses on insights for one particular user. So in our case, that one user is a daily wage worker, and how might we solve the problem of mobility for that daily wage worker. And the listing of all those 6 or 7 different possible solutions we had already done. So I'll take a pause for a minute and will request each one of you to write one possible solution of problem, that how can we solve the mobility issue of a daily wage worker transport from place A to place B. I'll take a pause of 1 minute and request each one of you to write it on notes on your mobile or laptop. If you are using pen or paper, whatever you are using, write one possible solution that comes to your mind when I say to solve problem of a mobility for a daily wage worker from location A to location B. Okay, so now we can move forward. So now most of you must have written that possible solution that will come to your mind. Uh, Recognizing pattern is something that I will request all of you to do next. Not now. Whenever you will be solving any problem, try to recognize what is one pattern that you are getting in the problem. What is one same sort of pattern that you are getting in data or in insights from the problem that you have in hand, and that will give you a clear picture of what problem you are trying to solve. So in this case, let's suppose if the pattern is most of people are willing to go house because they want to buy vegetables or their household things, then that is one pattern that we have found, and that should be one problem that we are taking in hand to solve. And that is what adapting is. That is the adaptation of problem that we have in hand, and that adaptation will give us a clear picture of what exactly ideation stage is, that what exactly the problem that we are trying to solve. That gives us the next stage, which is connecting all dots that we have in hand and defining all possible solutions to create one possible solution that through which we can go forward. And how we should create that solution, here is the framework. So I'll go a little technical on this. So this framework talks about desirability, viability, and feasibility. These are three different terms that will help us to understand the possible practical delivery of a problem solution. So the solution that we propose, or the solution on which we should start working on, should be desirable, should be viable, and should be feasible. So when I say desirable, it should be desirable by people. It should be something which should come from the data. It should be something which people want to solve. Viable, it should be viable enough to sustain in market. So one possible solution for this transport problem is we can allow everyone to take their vehicle out. But is it viable this point of time? Definitely no. This will increase uh, the uh, the effect of this virus. So whether the solution is viable or not. And the third one is feasible, whether the solution is feasible in terms of monetary uh, consumption, in terms of technical consumption, whether the solution is feasible or not. So when we point all these three different ways, so how it should go, you should draw a table. You should write desirable, viable, and feasible on left hand side, aligning vertically, and then you should write your solution on top, and you should tick mark whether your solution was desirable, viable, and feasible or not. And if it comes on in all these three categories, then definitely that solution is something we should go forward. So this is, I'll again take a minute or 2 minute of pause and request Raj to nominate one or two people.
Okay, so I'll would like to nominate Kiran and Manjit for the same.
So Kiran, how is it going? Do you understand what desirable, viable, and feasible is?
यस सर बट पहले मैं सॉल्यूशन बता दूं वजह का कि हम क्या सॉल्यूशन दे सकते हैं अगर
हाँ,
मोबिलिटी नहीं है
तो आपने क्या सोल्यूशन सोचा है इस प्रॉब्लम
फिर ऑल वेजेस की सेम प्रॉब्लम होगी मोबिलिटी की तो हम ये कोशिश करेंगे कि सारे वेजेस की सारी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करके हमें उन्हें कहीं जाने नहीं देना है उन्हें होम पर ही हम वो सारी चीज़ें उन्हें तब तक जब तक कोविड मतलब कोविड है तब तक उन्हें एट होम ही उन्हें वो सारी जो फैसिलिटी है वो प्रोवाइड करेंगे तो इससे होगा ये कि उन्हें बाहर नहीं जाना होगा
Okay, understood. So then who was next?
The next, Manjit.
Manjeet, if you can tell me what your solution was.
Manjit, am I audible? सुन रहा हो आप मेरे को? Manjit.
I think Manjeet is not.
I think we have Abhinav Sharma. Abhinav. Abhinav, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so Abhinav can hear us.
So Abhinav,
Yes, yes.
what is the solution that you have listed?
I'm still thinking. Can you please give me
Okay, so sure, you can work on the solution. Meanwhile, we'll go with the solution that just now was proposed to us. So definitely we can solve the problem that Kiran has said. By the way, Kiran has said that we can provide everything to people on their doorstep. So now what we have to understand is whether this solution comes in desirability format or not. So when I say desirability, I want to talk about whether actually the unavailability of household is the reason. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि लोग घूमने के लिए बस निकल रहे हैं and household scarcity is not a reason. Then whether this desirability is there or not. Viable, how viable it is. Who will deliver all those stuff, from where they'll buy, from where they'll procure, and what will be the timing and quantity to deliver it. So this is viable. And feasibility is what will be the price structure, what will be the cost structure, whether it should be delivered on the same price, whether it should be delivered on MRP or 1 rupee more than MRP, is something feasibility. So right now I have taken a very top view example. I want all of you to read more on this, and then you will be able to understand that what exactly the framework is. And that brings us to the fourth stage of design thinking, which is creating. And in other language, creation is nothing but prototyping, and creation is nothing but giving. So right now, अभी तक हमने जितनी भी बात की, the problem was on intangible level. Intangible means the problem was something on the service side of it. It was not a product. We are not solving any problem by creating a product. So right now we have to create a product. Right now we have to give it a tangible format. We have to give it a shape, size, which can solve our problem. So to solve this mobility problem, one tangible thing that I look is we might create an application, mobile application, that gives us the requirement that people are facing along with their addresses, and that will directly link all these delivery partners, Swiggy, Zomato, let's say Uber, Ola, for that matter of fact, IPS, Indian Postal Services. So we will connect all these people with the requirement, and anyone who is nearby, any delivery vendor who is nearby, can accept the request and can deliver the product that is required, can fulfill that household requirement. So this is one solution which will come into prototype stage. And now what we will do, we'll create a prototype of it. When I say prototype, it means we will create that application. We will create the solution now. In this stage, we'll try to create the solution for the problem that we are solving. I won't, unfortunately, since we are in a digital space, we don't have time and we don't have the objects to create solution for this, but we can definitely talk about what prototype is and how we can create it. So why prototype is something I had just spoken, because this will give you an idea about what your solution could be. So let's suppose if you are creating an application, this will give you a tangible idea of your solution. To ideate and problem solve, it will definitely solve your problem. To communicate, it will communicate. To fail quickly and cheaply. So this is very important. Whenever we are solving any problem, 100% chances are there that we will fail initially. No problem in this world was solved in very first attempt. Nothing was solved in the very first attempt. So the MacBook that we are right now having, the iPhones, the Windows, the Facebook, the Google, the mobile devices, the fans, electricity, the bulbs, everything right now we have is after a specific period of time. So failing early, learning early is something that you will learn from here. So when you fail, when your prototype fail, you will understand what is working and what not is working, what you have to improve, and that will give you an idea to make your product better. And last one is to test possibilities. This will give you the opportunities to test the possibilities of your solution. So this create will help you to create the tangible solution for your problem. And then the final one is testing. This will help you to test the problem in different stages with different people, You will learn more about your user when you speak. So let's suppose if we are creating this application, now the application is done. We have listed it to Play Store and to Apple Store. And when people are downloading it, they are reviewing it. They are commenting that your app is good. What is happening right now with the Government of India app that they had launched for COVID? Exactly same way, people are now using it and they are reviewing it, and government is again doing modifications, making it better every day. So we are learning every day and we are improving. So this testing will always help you to improve where you were from a past stage. So this entire 5 stages will give us a very good idea to solve up any problem that we have in hand. And when I say in hand, this is not a linear approach. When I say linear, this should not work like, okay, first we have to empathize, then we have to define, ideate, test, prototype, and test. No, this this should go hand in hand. So if you have empathized, then define. If you think no, there is something left, then go back to empathize, try and understand more deeper insights, come back to define, go back to ideate, come back to empathize if you are thinking there's things left. So this is what I was trying to say. From empathize to define to ideate to prototype to test. No. From empathize to define, then you can go forward. Or directly, if you think you have got a very good insight, then you can directly jump from empathize to prototype and then go back to prototype to ideate what you have find. Then you can play around with all these stages. आप एक स्टेज से दूसरे स्टेज जा सकते हैं. You can come back from previous stage to a later stage. This will give us flexibility. This will give us the flexibility of understanding each and every stage in detail. Okay, so now I will take a real example of what happens when people don't understand in marketing language, what when people don't understand or industries don't understand design thinking or customer centricity at large. So all of us must be receiving different push messages throughout the day, whether it may be from Zomato, from Uber, from your insurance agencies, from your delivery partners, from your Airtel mobile service carriers, from different channels. That okay, you have from different shopping stores, retail stores. So have you ever thought that what is the opening ratio of those messages? What is the opening ratio of push messages that we receive? It's 0.00001%. I have used 4 zeros. It's as low as 0.00001%. People don't even open messages that companies spend so much money on. So that is a type of marketing. Company is paying mass messaging applications, companies paying mass messaging authorities and organizations, and people are not even reading our messages. So this is one problem, that once people will understand what exactly is requirement, and if they believe on solving the problem of the user. So let's suppose, and this is what remarketing is all about. So if you have been on web, if you have been searching for a bag, let's suppose, and then if Louis Vuitton, or then if a bag company sends you a request to buy a bag in $30, then it will make sense. But if you're not going on any surfing, if you're not searching for a bag and you are getting a message to buy a bag, it won't make any sense. I mean, right now I'm not married and I'm getting messages to have life insurance for my wife. Does it make sense? No, not at all. So that way, if people are not understanding, that way, if people are organizations are not understanding the end users, and if the product is not based on customer side, we will face these issues. And that brings me to the second topic of the day, which is digital transformation. So digital transformation is nothing but solving any problem with the help of digital intervention. When I say digital intervention, it could be anything. I mean, anything that could be solved digitally is some digital transformation, if you want me to uh, define it in a layman language. So one example could be in earlier days, there was a huge register to enter PNL every year. So then it came to a softwares, and then from software to SaaS. So that is a digital transformation. Right now we have applications like Splitwise. So that Splitwise is nothing but a digital transformation to solve the problem that people were having in hand of managing the entire funds they have and the entire distribution of funds basically between a team, a group of people, a friend, or anyone. So that is digital transformation. Facebook solving problem, healthcare problem is digital transformation using AI, ML, any of the latest technology, and trying to solve problem which we have in hand is digital transformation. So right now, what we are doing, we are trying to create a parallel ecosystem, digital ecosystem to deliver the classes online. This is digital transformation. Right now, what we are into digital ecosystem. So I want all of you to read this. I want all of you to read what is on screen. So it is nothing much, but what is a big campaign idea? We are going digital. Okay, what is digital then? Facebook, YouTube, mobile application, Pinterest. So what we are going to do with all these channels, and these are the normal conversation that organizations have, but they don't know what to do with this. Most of the organizations right now are struggling in this COVID-19 because they were not digitally ready. They were not ready with the ecosystem to allow their people to work from homes. They were not having the infrastructure to help people work remotely. And this is digital problem that people are facing right now. So this is one question that I generally face a lot. That whenever I used to sit in any meeting and people try to understand what digital transformation is, there will be someone who will tell the bookish language of digital transformation, the HBR language of digital transformation, the industry language of digital transformation. But what they fail to understand the problem, exact problem that they will solve through digital transformation. And that's why we have used design thinking, empathy stage to understand the problem. It is very important for all of us to understand the problem that we have in hand. And that brings me to the definition of digital transformation. So I had already defined it, that it is nothing but transforming using the all amount of digital awareness, technologies, platforms, integrations to solve any problem which can have its impact on a larger scale is a digital transformation. So I think I'm about to come to the end of my sessions. So I think, Raj, if you can take it from here, how it goes, what, because
Yeah,
I think most of people will be having their questions. So yeah.
yeah, sure. So, first of all, thank you, Utkarsh, for a wonderful insights and understanding that you have given to the participants about the design thinking, because that is the new word, new buzzword, which is going on that people have not quite well understood. So, you have given a brief insight how important that is for the digital transformation. So now our team will take up the questions. Our team has prepared some of the questions for you, Utkarsh, and I hope that will be very helpful for other participants. Any questions or queries that you have. So we'll start with the first question. How design thinking, as you rightly pointed out, it's a very important for digital transformation. And if you want to do a digital transformation, the campaigning plays a very important role. So my question is for you: how design thinking can help the social media campaign optimization?
Okay, so this is something that I used to answer on each and every client interaction that we had. See, design thinking is nothing but a approach. Design thinking is nothing but a method to solve problem. And campaigns have their own objectives. So let's suppose if a digital campaign is all about increasing reach of one website, one web application, then the campaign should, the structure of the campaign, whatever tools you will be using, whatever mediums you will be using, whatever redirecting technologies you will be using, repushing marketing you will be using, should be based on understanding who are the consumers, who are the people where it should be targeted, who are the people who will engage with this website. So I'll quote you one example on this. So there, and this example was quoted by a Googler, Amit Shekhar. Sorry, I don't remember his name. So he is a evangelist in digital space, and he once quoted that there was a website on cricket balls and cricket equipments. And in terms of SEO, when we say cricket balls and cricket equipments, people generally search like buy cricket bat, buy cricket ball. Okay. But that website was treating buy as a different keywords, cricket ball as a different keywords, and that was redirecting buy to all those buy keywords that were there. So whenever anyone was typing buy this cricket bat or ball, link was although coming on the top of search results, but people were not redirecting to it. So this gives us a clear understanding that what should be the audience for your digital application. And design thinking will help you to understand who is the audience. What is the problem that this web application is solving? And once all this thing will be done, your content creators can create content around solving that particular problem. The messaging will be on that language. The communication will be on that language. The mails will be on that language. The videos will be on that language. And that will give the customized approach to the entire campaign. So this is known as C2C campaign, from customer to campaign method, which is being followed by very industries which are into digital space like us. And we try to understand the problem and consumer parallelly and then try to create campaigns.
Yeah, thank you so much, Utkarsh. You've given a great understanding about the integration of design thinking in social media platforms. I want to take your attention to the another aspect of the digital marketing, and this is how my second question is connected. Most of the people, the customer experience plays a very important role, as you have suggested during your tech. Now, my question is to you: how design thinking is related or closely related, or is it related with the artificial intelligence and machine learning with the context of the consumer behavior? Because your state was that designing thinking is all related to how you deeply understand the consumer. So my question is how AI and ML is related to the design thinking.
See, AI and ML are two different platforms that can help to solve any problem, that can help us to create platforms to solve any problem. And same goes with all other platforms that we have in hand, whether it may be the different languages starting from C, COBOL, Java, C++, then right now AI, ML, and so all these platforms will give us a opportunity to create something that can solve problem. But what design thinking gives us, it gives us the problem itself. So, and when it comes to data, definitely the social insights like social listening. Social listening is one thing that can gives you a lot of insight about what people are talking about your brand. So there are different freeware tools available for social listening. And once you go to that particular tool, you pick up a brand, just insert that brand there. It will give you what emotion people are having around that brand. And this is entirely being done through machine learning and AI. This will give you the data and understanding on empathizing stage that what people are feeling about your product. So let me quote one example. People are not feeling great about the way scarcity of mass has been in the market. So the conversation around this on social media is right now 97% negative. So any of the manufacturer will see this, it will excite them that, okay, here is the opportunity. We should create more mass. We should communicate more with people. We should be on that line of communication that, okay, hey, here is our organization creating more masks. We are donating it for free. So that will give them the traction to be on the positive side of conversation, and that will create a good positive impact in terms of branding. So right now, branding is using AI ML on a very large scale, and me being directly involved with customer experience and marketing side of campaign, I have seen and experienced how these things are bringing change to what we already know and how these things are helpful in understanding the deeper objectives of any of the campaigns.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that was a very well answered question. My next question is, would you like to recommend any books or resources that the fresher into the digital marketing can refer for design thinking?
I will recommend the blogs. I will recommend design, Change by Design by IDEO. Change by Design is something all of us should read. Even if you're not, if you do not want to learn about design thinking, just read this book to understand how differently a problem could be solved. So I'll definitely recommend this one book, Change by Design, to everyone. This is a book which you'll get on Amazon on some 450 bucks. Go buy, purchase, and read. This is a book written by Tim Brown himself, who is the creator of design thinking and from IDEO. This is a great book to understand.
Okay, great. I
And
hope
it has also listed all the methods of IDEO. So yeah.
Okay, you just send me the resources. I'll circulate among the students. That would do.
Yeah, perfect. I'll share the name with you.
Sure, done. My next question is, since you're working with Cognizant that you mentioned, would you like to share some more light on your journey and experience with the Cognizant with the students?
Yeah, so it has been great. I mean, I have been part of this since a year or so in the digital interactive and transformation side. I have learned a lot with each and every passing day. I am learning some things or other from the teammates, from clients, from partners. So I think this is a great journey of which I am a part of. And parallelly, since I'm being into one of the greatest organization in digital transformation stage, I'm also working very closely with some very non-typical problem statements that we can get possibly. So this is helping me to grow as a person in terms of to increase the insights and to understand the problem on a holistically larger way. So I think the journey has been great, and I'm looking forward to learn much more things by being here.
Sure. Okay. So now we'll take up the participants' question. So we got one question. It is all about design thinking is all about out of box thinking. Now, is that approach for the student is inborn, or people actually need to work very hard to get that?
Okay, may I know who has asked this question and is the person available here?
This person has just left the meeting.
Okay. Okay, then I'm answering this for rest of you all, since the person. So this is something which we can learn with practice. Definitely, the intent should be there. The intent of understanding problems, the intent of solving problems. If anyone who wants to have career in problem solving, in consulting, in manufacturing, in development of applications, in testing, any industry, at the end of our job, we will be solving the problems. Either we will be solving the problems for customers, consumers, or we will be solving the problems for our own immediate boss. Okay, so understanding of that problem needs to be there. And then, yes, it needs little bit reading, it needs little bit practice to start with. And once it goes hand in hand, once you start loving it, you can go way beyond to understand and learn more on this. So I think I have read some 7, 8, or 10 odd books on this. I have been reading the online journals. I have been writing on different blog sites on this. So yeah, to describe it more, this is something which we have to learn, like we have to learn anything, like we have to learn maths, we have to learn uh, the development languages, or like we have learned ABCD letters. So this is has to start from scratch, and then the entire build will be there.
Great. So I think hope the query is resolved very well. The last question from our team. Any last quick tips for the future digital marketer from your side as a design thinker?
Just try to understand what problem you are solving and for whom you are solving. Try to understand your consumer in a better way. The more deep insight you will have on your consumer, the better you will be the problem solver.
Great, great, great. So I think in a nutshell, what I can define is design thinking is all about identifying the problem and resolving the problem. And all the digital marketer basically what they practice while they create a digital campaign, social campaigns, or a Google campaign, all the marketing campaigns that you create with the assumption that that particular product or campaign would solve the particular queries for the prospect audience. So until and unless you don't have a proper understanding of the design thinking, how it basically works, it will be very difficult in the competitive environment like we have in the digital platform to gain the attention of your target consumer, and then reaching out to them, making them the customer, and or converting them into the promoter. So I think I hope all the participants understood the importance of the design thinking, because this is a very unique and new approach that most of the people might not have come across, that how it can transform the digital startups or a business. But I think all credit goes to Utkarsh, who has very well through the diagrams, through the practical understanding, case studies and example have briefly discussed about the design thinking and how that can transform the business. So with that note, we'll end up the webinar. From the entire Digital Gurukul family, would thank the Utkarsh for the amazingly wonderful analysis of the topic that you selected, and you have given a proper justice to the topic. And I hope all the participants have enjoyed this session as I have done. We'll see you other side tomorrow. We have very interesting session that is in the evening hour. The speaker is Samir Loda. He is the head of the Navneet Group, which is India's leading group. He is the heading digital over there, and we have a very interesting conversation tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed the entire interaction. See you tomorrow, sharp at 6. Everyone has the link. Everyone has the ID as well. How to join the session. So enjoy the Saturday at home, and thank you so much, Utkarsh. You enjoy the weekend. Thank you so much. We'll stay in touch.
Thanks, Raj. Thanks, Majan. Thank you, everyone. Just one more request from everyone. Just please, if there is any feedback mechanism, if there is anything that you, then it would be great to hear more from each one of you, that what you have learned, or Raj, if you have any feedback
Sure.
through which you can collect the feedback, it will be great if you can pass it on to me. And then to for everyone else, just stay safe. You can reach out to me through LinkedIn, and I'm always here to get in touch. And just stay safe in this COVID situation, and be responsible. Try to help people who are with us, who lives with us, our families, our friends, and hopefully we'll cross the situation. So by that note, I'll thank Digital Gurukul for this, Raj for this, and stay safe, guys. I'm grateful to have you all, and let's make it bigger. Let's make it safer. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's make it bigger. Let's make it safer with a design thinking approach. Hope we'll overcome this COVID-19 pandemic. With that note, we'll end up the webinar. Thank you so much, everyone, for being an amazingly nice audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.